A common complaint that I hear from hiring managers is that you just can't ask good questions anymore. They're afraid of possibly breaking laws and violating discrimination laws when asking questions. That's a valid concern. However, if we can base our questions on job-related duties, we have no worry about violating the law. The second thing I hear is that applicants often come across in a way as if they've rehearsed the answers or the answers are canned. And perhaps they are. Perhaps they've done some research on the internet. Perhaps they have had a career coach. The other syndrome, I call it, that I see is that the person who shows up for work, maybe the first 1 or 2 weeks of their job, is very different from that person that you interviewed and thought you hired. I call this the evil twin syndrome. So if you have any of these concerns, you may want to think about learning how to develop behavioral questions to use during your interview. What a behavioral question is a question that is worded in a way that requires the applicant to describe his or her past performance in a way that you can translate what he or she tells you into the likelihood that they'll succeed in the job for which you're interviewing. So it's a way of taking past behavior and projecting into future behavior. A very common characteristic of a behavioral interviewing question is, first of all, it's open-ended, meaning the applicant can't answer it with a yes or no. And by its very nature, the applicant is going to tell you more information than if you just ask a question that can be answered with a yes or no. The other thing that's common with behavioral questions is that they all begin with phrases such as, describe a time when, tell me about a situation where. And you're asking the applicant to recall from the past something that he or she has done that helps you determine the likelihood of success in your job. An example, tell me about a time that you successfully resolved conflict. And you could certainly follow up with the applicant by asking what their role was in resolving that conflict. What do they think they contributed that caused the success of that conflict resolution? I don't recommend that you ask all positive questions, nor do I recommend that you ask all negative questions. But behavioral interviewing questions give you a chance to balance that. You can ask about a time they were successful in a project or resolving conflict or reducing tension in a team. Likewise, you can ask them about a time that they were unsuccessful in doing those same things and follow up with, looking back, what would you do differently? So as you can see, these types of questions really draw out the applicant, and if we're listening well during the interview, we can really pick up on some skills that are hard to interview for. We can pick up communication skills. We can get insight into their interpersonal skills, how they would work in a team, and just their overall ability to fit in with our work group. Next time, we'll talk about how to deal with difficult applicants during the interview.